So after getting done with the basic infrastructure of a class, let's talk about the four fundamentals, the four pillars of object-oriented programming. We already have the introduction of these four pillars. So let's talk about them one by one and implement them. Encapsulation. As we discussed, sometimes we don't want to show the whole information of any particular object. We want to hide some information. We want to encapsulate some information inside the class, and that information should be restricted in a way that how should we present this information to the outer world, right? What do we mean by this? For example, this student class, okay? Now, I don't want that anyone should be able to access the marks of the students. Anyone can access name and age of the student that probably won't bother. But I don't want that in particular my case, students' marks should be accessed outside the word. For example, here, let me run it. I have name over here, print s1.print details. Now, here, if I say, if you see name is Zia, okay? If I say s1 dot name is equal to, let's say, new name, right? And I run this, and now if I run this print details, you see, for s1, print details are updated. Name is actually updated. So from outside, I can update these variable values, the values of these variables. Why? Because they are publicly accessible. We don't want, it's fine. Someone can access name, someone can access age for my particular case, but there is another variable that is called marks variable, or you can say it, we have an attribute over here. So we have self dot marks. So here we will have marks. Okay. So while creating these students, we are passing name, we are passing age. We should also pass marks. So let's say Zia has 80 marks and Tom has, let's say, 95 marks. Okay. So now when I'll create object of S1 and S2, along with name and age, marks will also be created, right? So if I run it, sorry, I should not be executing this one, and I show you the details, it is still showing details as Zia and age. Why? Because here in details, I'm not showing marks over there, right? But the thing is, I have marks, and as usual, marks can also be accessed and updated from outer side, from outer world. In order to deal with this thing, there's a thing called private variables, private attributes. So private attribute, how do we define the private attribute? In the beginning of the attribute name, if I'll add 2 underscores, double underscore, now this variable has become a private variable, right? Actually, before doing this, let me run this, and here, okay, so here let me say s1 dot marks. So s1 has 80 marks. Okay. Now, if I write 2 underscores in front of it, now it has become a private member, a private attribute. Okay. Now, if I run it and I want to access it from outside the word, it cannot be accessed. It says student object has no attribute marks. You might be wondering that I'm missing double underscore over there. So even if I add double underscores, it will say no, will not let you access a private variable. Since I cannot access it, obviously I cannot update the values as well. Although I ran this cell, it did not give me any error, but if I show you the marks over here, the marks will still be 80. How can I show you that? I cannot access marks and double underscore marks outside this class, but I can access these marks inside the class. So I can show these marks over here. So I'll say print, and I'll do all these things over here inside the print statement. So I'll say instead of age, self dot, double underscore marks, and here I'll say marks are this. Okay. So again, running this, before executing this line, let me show you the details. So the details are name is Zia, age is 18, and marks are 80. Now, if I execute this line, and I again go back to print details, you see, details are still same. Details are not changed. So even if we do something like this, the private variable is not being changed, right? Now the question is, what if we really want to update this variable? Well, there can be a mechanism, and that mechanism is called creating setters or getters, or you can say coming from the official way. So we can define a function over here, and we can say set marks. Okay, so as usual, we'll pass self to this, and we'll say new underscore marks. Okay, so here, for example, if anyone wants to set the marks, we want that anyone to enter the password first. Okay, so we'll take the input, let's say input in the password, password is equals to, we'll say in, let's say input, and here we'll say enter the password. Okay, so we are going to create just an imaginary password. So we'll say if password is equals to, let's say our imaginary password is just 123, let's say 45. So if password is this, then do what? Then self dot underscore marks, it should be equals to these new marks. Okay, otherwise we'll say print password is incorrect. And I'll do one more thing. After setting the marks, I'll also say print marks are updated. So if the password is correct, if the password is 123, then we'll say first of all update the marks, and we'll also say marks are updated. Now you might be wondering that if it is a private variable, how can we set it? How can we update its value? We can update its value inside this particular class, right? But not outside this class. So inside this class, after passing some checks, we can do that if you want to have some checks. And if the password is not correct, then it will come over here and it will say the password is incorrect, right? So let me run it. So again, we have two variables. So let me print the details first. So the details are Zia's marks are 80, right? And here, let me try to set the marks to 12 and print details again. They're still 80. Nothing has changed, right? So now what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to add a new line. And I'll say s1 dot. What was the function name? It is set underscore marks. What are the parameters? Parameters are self and new marks, right? Remember, self is coming from here. This S1 is going to be self. So we are mentioning that S1. What is S1? S1 is Zia. So change the marks of Zia. Okay. And what are the new marks? That we will pass over here. So set marks, update the marks to, let's say 999, just for the sake of, just to make it different from rest of the marks. So let me run this line. It says student object has no attribute set marks. Oh, I have set and then capital M. So it is set with capital M. Running it. So it says enter password. Now it is executing this line, right? So I'll enter incorrect password first. Let's say QWERTY. Okay. Enter. It says password is incorrect. So let me print details. So marks are still 80. Nothing is updated. Let me run it again. Now correct password is entered. Hit enter. It says marks are updated. So if I print details now, you see marks are 999. Cool. So this is how we can hide some information from outer world if we want. Cool. Now, this is how these are called setters. The functions that are used to set the values of private members. There can also be getters as well. That, for example, this print detail function is acting as a getter. It is getting you the information of a private variable, right? Otherwise, we would not be able to get the information of marks. So we have to have some getters or setters in order to work with the private variables. So I hope the point of encapsulation is clear. This is how we can create private members. Just you have to make sure that there should be double underscore marks before the variable that is going to be called as a private variable. So yeah, I think that is about it for encapsulation. Let's go ahead and talk about inheritance in next video.